Guess we're a little late, but I think she's here. Hey.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Your video's
Hey.
video is on as well. I'm so excited. Give me 1 second to
Yeah, of
record. I
course.
think I'm recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Emily, you're in the shop, huh?
I am. Yeah, I'm here. Always here, it feels like.
Oh my God. It seems like no one's there. Are you closed or is it just
Yeah, so everything is by appointment here. So it's really nice because it allows me to have some flexibility within the appointment times to like merchandise, go through orders, do all the stuff. I mean, as a small business owner, it kind of never ends and you have to juggle a lot of different things. So
Yeah, so right now it's by appointment, but you still are getting, I mean, couples are getting married this year, so you still are getting like clients now, just but it's with appointment, correct?
yeah, absolutely. So everything is by appointment. So really how it works is a bride will call or email or go online and schedule a time to come into the shop and then the shop is theirs for like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Oh my God, that's exciting. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So pretty much this is the Go with the Flow wedding podcast. I just talk like creatives like you, but I actually haven't had someone that owned a bridal boutique your name your business is Blush Bridal Boutique, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I've never had someone in this, type of, I guess, field. I don't know how you would say it,
Oh,
but
cool.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so you pretty much sell bridal dresses for a living. That's really like that's so cool. If you could tell me a little bit about your business, the Blush and Bridal, and like, you as well, how long you've been doing in the business. So I'm
Yeah.
really just excited to be able to talk with you.
Absolutely, me too. I'm so excited. So I grew up in Kingston, which is where my shop is located. I went to Marist for the fashion program, the fashion merchandising program there, and then also got a business degree at the same time. During my summers while at Marist, I would live in New York and intern with different companies. So I interned with a buying department at Atrium. It's a store downtown. It was like a really super like ahead of its time in like the streetwear and it was really cool and I loved that experience. And then another summer I interned at 17 magazine, so I got a little bit of like the editorial side. And then my last internship was actually with the Globe showroom, and it was there that I really developed this like love for working in the sales side of things. And so that's wholesale, so a little bit different. You're working with buyers and stores. And my job there was kind of a little bit of everything, very much like the good side of the Devil Wears Prada. So fast forward, when I graduate from college, I go to work there actually as the press director. So I would send out samples of clothing to different magazines, different celebrity stylists, and try to have those items placed, which was a really fun job right out of school. I got engaged and moved back to Kingston. And as I was looking for jobs, I was like, what can I align like my skill set with? And there's not much of a fashion market here. So at the time, so this is like 10 years ago. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I started working in weddings because it was kind of like luxury goods, and weddings now are basically a luxury good. So I started working at a venue, and I worked with the venue as they opened, and it was amazing. Such an incredible experience. And it was then that I kind of got the wheels turning, like all these brides are buying everything else local. The florist is local, the DJ is local, the photographer is local, but they're not shopping local and for their gown. And I always found myself like really just, I'd be like, okay, let's stop talking about your dinner. Like, tell me about your gown. And these brides were like, we went to New York to buy them, or we went to Albany to buy them. And I was like, oh, that's like, whatever. I didn't love that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put my degree to good use. And I put a business plan together, and I opened the shop 5 years ago. So it's been 5 years and it's been absolutely amazing. And I'm just so thrilled to do this every day because I feel like I'm just living my dream.
Congratulations, five
Thank you.
years.
Yeah.
So that's great. And also that's great that you were able to use your college background, your degree to be able to, start up your business. I'm sure it's, hard to even like start up a business like what you're doing. And I'm glad that it all worked out at the end as well.
You.
Yeah, so I mean that's interesting. So 5 years, you're located in Kingston. Are there? So I'm sorry if I don't know a lot about like the
No, no,
bridal
it's okay.
industry,
Ask
but like
away.
you're still in the wedding industry, but like is there a lot of shops that are bridal shops in Kingston, or are you the only
No,
one?
so that's kind of, especially when I was opening and planning, because I planned my business for about 2 to 3 years before opening, and then I opened. So it feels a lot longer than 5 years. So when I was researching it, I mean, there was like one shop in Rhinebeck at the time, and then that was kind of it. So there really wasn't anything. And when I opened, there was really nothing in Kingston, or nothing. I shouldn't say nothing. There were small shops that had been around forever, and I think they were transitioning out of the business. Whereas, so like, the styles were maybe a little bit different than what I wanted to carry, or just not, I wanted to do something very new, and there wasn't anything like that in Kingston, especially, but in the Hudson Valley.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, so I opened and I was the only shop, and yeah, so there's no real other business like mine in Kingston, at least, and I'm really fortunate about that. But yeah.
That's great. So great. That's crazy because when you like in the beginning when you were starting out your bridal shop, how did that go? Like, did you have any background about like, or did you know anyone that had a bridal shop? Like how it like you could kind of have a perspective, but like how was that? Like opening up your shop the first year, what was that like?
Yeah, it was really, it's tricky because as much as you can like plan and research, a lot of the information about buying in general is like private. So you can't see a lot of numbers and things. So I'm kind of doing like these like hypothetical business plans, and then at one point you just have to jump all the way in, and you have to basically be like, okay, I'm opening the business so that I can kind of get into the trade shows, talk to the brands, because no one's really going to talk to you if you're just thinking about starting a store. So I went through the business plan. I did the business plan, which again, my background at Marist and my business degree really helped there. And I put that degree to good use finally. And yeah, just develop this business plan over a series of years. And I had to look for a storefront for a really long time because, again, this is like 8 years ago, where Uptown Kingston was just starting to like really come alive. So a lot of the storefronts that I wanted weren't available. They weren't open. They were too expensive. So it was like all these pieces of this puzzle really had to come together. And then one day it just like clicked. I had all the pieces of the creative in place. I had the financial like dollars in place, and then the store became available, and I have the best landlord, and it all just happened, and I signed a lease in November, and I started renovating in January and opened in March. So
It seems like it was a great timing, like how it seemed like to result, but I know that like how does that work, Emily? So you open a bridal shop, like how does that work when it comes to like, buying the dresses? Are you like you mentioned, are you like going up to like designers to like, connect with them, or like how does that work for you? Like or like any bridal shop, how does that work?
yeah, absolutely. So it's the fun part of the job, but it's also really hard because you have to buy smart. So, for example, I work with a ton of different designers, and my first year, actually, I missed market is like fashion week, basically. So it's when all the gowns become available and you can see them. I missed it. So I actually had to fly to Chicago for a day just to go and buy everything, which was like really cool. And I felt like, oh my God, I've made it. And I hadn't. And it was pretty cool. And so what I do is I go to a show and I get to see all of the gowns that the designer is presenting for that season. So Bridal has 2 seasons a year. And so I'll buy in the spring and then I'll buy in the fall. And you go and you basically get to see everything. And then you just have to be really smart with your dollars and pick the right product that you know will do well in your store. So for example, what does well in New York doesn't necessarily do well in the middle of the country or on the West Coast. So over the years, I've really started to pinpoint my girls and like what the New England bride is looking for, because we do get a lot of brides from all over New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut. It's I mean, we pull from a lot of different areas, so I'm really fortunate, but kind of you just have to really buy smart. That's kind of what I've learned from the buying process over the past 5 years.
Right, and I feel like you mentioned, you have to be picky about like the dresses that will sell in your store, and I feel like
Totally.
that comes with your branding as well as like Bridal. So it has that like luxurious like name to it, and it seems like I went to your Instagram. You do such amazing dresses, and like how you branded yourself through Instagram, it has this like luxurious feel. And I didn't even know you're located in Troy, so I feel like you really have I did. It just seems like there's like more work behind the scenes, like buying like the specific dresses that so it sells out in your, store.
Mhm.
So I didn't even know that, from different places. I didn't even think about like, if I was selling dresses in like New England, they may
Yeah.
have or like just different like bridal shop. It seems like they have specific dresses to sell, but
Yeah, absolutely. And every shop kind of has their own vibe too, right? So like some stores are super boho and there are brides that live here that want that too, and there are brides that are more traditional or more contemporary or more modern. And there are stores that cater to all of that. So that's kind of, the uniqueness about the other stores that have opened since I've opened. We all are a little different. So it's really cool. And what's really nice is that actually the other stores that have opened in the area are all female owned. So like I'm all about that and always, happy to cheer on another woman in business.
I'm just curious, is there any guys that that opened up like a bridal shop?
No, I mean at the like the designer level, obviously, yeah, like the super
Mhm.
high end. But locally, I don't think so.
Oh, that's good. Congrats. I mean, that's good. I mean, if I were gonna open to my own, bridal shop, it seems like there's just you have to be really passionate about like, I guess like the dress or like for your clients, like, I feel like, for me, if I wanted to open up my own bridal shop, I feel like, I may not have the passion like you have, just, like when it comes to like looking for dresses, like what fits like, for your couples. But yeah, that seems like you were able to like, choose those specific clients for your shop. Like
Yeah.
what how my question to you, like how did that start? Like the blush bridal, like where did that I'm just curious, like, the story behind it, and like did you envision like this type of like brand that you've envisioned, or like what's your goal as well at the end of
Yeah.
this?
So I think when I opened, it definitely has changed since I opened for sure. So before I opened and when I was opening, I had this vision of who my girl was going to be, but it was because I didn't know her yet. So I was, in my head, she was one thing. And then once I got kind of my feet wet and my sea legs, and I was, I figured out who she was very quickly, and who our girl is and how to talk to her a little bit, because that's all part of it is, you want to connect with the people that are seeing your stuff on social media or Instagram or whatever it is coming to your website. So you want to like make them feel like they're your friend. And that's kind of how I approach this is, I want you to come into the shop and feel like I'm one of your girlfriends and we're shopping for your dress together. And I think that being a young woman, in the business and, having recently 8 years ago gotten married, I really am passionate about it. And I like making people feel good about getting into a gown and being like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is the look that I want to like have on my day. So that kind of all went into the branding. but and like I said, it's kind of evolved over time. But in the beginning, I was like, you know what? I want it to be like a really fun and like flirty and really just like cool space where it's all about the gown. So like, as you can see behind me, like there's not like crazy wall art or like strobe lights or anything like that. It's like super minimal. You have the exposed brick. We have some really nice racks. And then behind that curtain is where kind of the magic happens. So there's a pedestal. We have some like really nice like velvet curtains to kind of like hide the fitting room. But I just wanted it to be like a place where like girls felt really comfortable. Because sometimes, especially in the shopping process, not everyone is really confident in that experience. And when you're spending a lot of money on an item, you want to feel comfortable and you want to feel good. Sometimes when you walk into some bridal salons or just salons in general, like high-end boutiques, you feel kind of out of place, like, oh, I can't touch anything. And I didn't want that vibe. Like I wanted it to be cozy and comfortable and like somewhere where you can like lounge with your crew and hang and find your dream dress.
And I know it's important to have that relationship with your couple. So are you so if a bride comes to your shop, are you the one that's gonna be greeting them and like, I'll help you out, or do you have any workers aside from you?
Yeah, no, I'm a one woman show right now. There's a lot of like unpaid interns, like my mom and my husband.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, but I work all the appointments. Yep. So I do everything from the booking of the appointment to the working the appointment and then working with the client and then all the follow-up as well. So, that's really nice for me because I get to see the process come, full circle. I also have an amazing seamstress who, really makes the magic come together. And yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm glad that your mom unpaid intern and your husband as well.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. I mean, it seems like, if I was I mean, I'm not a bride. If I was a bride, coming there, I mean, and they see your personality as well, I mean, I feel like that is it's as important as just like, getting that dress. I feel like, that relationship with your clients is important because, you have the eye for it, like what, fits for them. But yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's such, I feel like what do you call that? Like you mentioned earlier, like, I feel like, it seems like the type of store that you have, you want your couples to be more, more comfortable. I could imagine like, not gonna name names, but like, I feel like the higher, what do you call that? The more well-known bridal shop, I feel like it probably has that, like, you can't touch that dress because, you don't want to ruin it or something. So it seems
Yeah.
like from your explaining, it seems like it's more like, you know, more laid back and like you want your couples to be comfortable and making sure like, they feel more comfortable just being in a shop and being able to, open to you, when it comes to buying the dresses. I
Absolutely.
don't know
Yeah.
if that makes
Really important.
sense.
Yes. No, yeah, it does. And that's kind of the mindset is we want people to feel like they're like in their closet in with their girlfriends or their friends or their crew, their moms, mother of the groom, whoever it may be that they bring along, and just feel like they can get down to business here, like we're going to find that dress because we feel good about where we are. It's pretty, it's cute. But at the end of the day, the dresses kind of speak for themselves.
Mhm. So, coming back to like picking up, I'm just really like, fascinated about like getting the dresses, like
Yeah.
how the process of that, like what happens? I mean, you'll have inventory for like throughout the year, but like, has it ever been a point where it's like, you have so many brides coming and then, you may not have the inventory, or how does it work? If a bride comes in
Yeah.
and they're looking for a specific dress, do you order them as well, like, if you don't have it in the shop?
Yeah. So bridal is really interesting. So unlike any other part of fashion, I think, everything that you see behind me and that's in the shop is actually a sample. So these are
Oh,
all gowns
really?
that everyone tries on. So whether, your wedding's in January or December, you're going to try that dress on. And then what we do is we order your dress to your size. So we take some measurements, we figure out what size you are in that designer, and then we order you a new dress in your size. And then we do the alterations to make it fit perfectly.
Okay. I mean, I thought the dresses behind you, those are like the exact dress, so, but like you kind of just ordered that, like, those are samples, but
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
don't have necessarily have everything in that shop. You
No, we don't. So as I mentioned, when I go to, it used to be New York. Now with COVID, it's a little different. But when I went to New York Bridal Fashion Week, the collections that these designers put out are huge. There's so many dresses and I would love to have all of them. But again, they're not all for me. And I kind of pick and choose the ones that I think will perform and do the best here. And what we do is we get those dresses in, but say, a bride comes in and she's like, I really wanted to try this Essence of Australia dress. Do you have it? And I'm like, oh, I didn't get that one, but a lot of the designers that I work with do this loaner program where basically we can special order dresses from that designer. So if I don't have it, there's always the chance that I can get it.
okay? I mean, that's awesome that that you have that I guess connection to be able to get that specific type of dress. I mean, I feel like when I hear about like bridal, I'm on Instagram all the time because of my business. I hear like I don't know, the famous bridal dress called or brand is called Gal. Is it Gala?
Yep. Mhm.
GA. Yeah, so I feel like like those are like whatever, like bridal gowns that popped out of my head. It's like gala, but like I feel it seems like it's such a unique field to get into, and I feel like would you say there's a lot of people like as a bridal, I mean, like bridal owners, like, because I feel like the big companies, they're pretty much like the they, I feel like you would assume like like for an example, the Saratoga, is it bridal Saratoga? I
Mhm.
feel like everyone's just gonna go to that bridal shop because it's a bit a more well-known shop.
Mhm.
But like my question is that like, do you see a lot of like small shops that are bridal like succeeding, or is it like or is there not a lot of smaller bridal shop out there?
Yeah, I think it really depends on where you are. So I am lucky enough to be able to do this. But I mean, it's definitely like you have to hustle. It's not something
Mhm.
where you can't be here when your store hours say you're not going to be here. You have to be willing to come in. Like this weekend, for example, someone asked to come in on a Sunday. Typically, I'm closed on a Sunday, but I'm coming in on a Sunday because it's different when it's just you, and the success or the failure depends on just you. So I think being a smaller shop is definitely harder, but than like a big box brand. But I also think it gives you an opportunity for something so unique and so personal. I had someone in here the other day and they were like, we've been to the big stores, but like the customer service and the experience here is why we want to buy a dress here, and that just speaks volumes to me because I work every appointment and I know every bride that comes through the door. I mean, I'm going to see you before you get married, like 5 days before you get married. So I want to know that you're like 100% confident, ready to go, and ready to have the best day ever.
Right, it seems like it's doing well for you just because I see you're passionate about what you're doing, also especially like what you give into your couple. You have a great experience going through your store, because I feel I could imagine more of a bigger store, like couples would go there, and it seems like you're just a number. I feel like it's more booking and booking and booking, and I feel
Yeah.
like you just become a number. But it seems like for your case, as a smaller shop in Kingston, you're more personal and you really care about each couple that goes through your store. So that's, I feel like it's really important to have that client couple client relationship. So it seems like you're doing so well with in regards to that, and especially the branding that you've made. And I'm looking through your Instagram,
Yeah.
that I do see that vision of like the blush bridal, like the luxurious feel.
Yeah.
But my question to you, like what is your overall goal? Like what did you what I see, I know that you're not done yet, right?
Yeah.
Like you established your business as a successful bridal shop in
Yeah.
Kingston, but like what is the overall vision that you've envisioned for this brand to
Yeah.
moving
Um,
forward?
I think it depends on the day of the week that you ask me. So I will say, so when I opened in my business plan, I did want to have an employee by like 3 to 5 years. So hopefully, the stars will align and I'll find the perfect person to come join the crew. I was really, so when I opened the business, I took this like business 101 class just because I was like, I need a refresh. Like I want to, know all the number things and like all the stuff nobody really talks about. And I remember the teacher saying, if you can make it to 5 years, like you've made it. And I'm like, okay, I got to make it to 5 years. So when I got to 5 years, which was this past March, I was like, oh my God, I have to do something to like celebrate this. And it was COVID. And I was like, I'm not going to have a party. So something that I always kind of had in the back of my mind was a scholarship. So I started a fashion scholarship at our local high school. So that was something that I'm really excited about and proud of. And like, I consider that like any support for education, I think is like, a really big achievement. So I'm very proud of that I did. And then I think that the big goal is to just continue loving it and to continue, making people feel good about how they look and how they feel, going into, the most important day of their life so far. And yeah, I mean, I just want the blush to live on for as long as it can.
And it definitely is though, you seem like
Yeah.
I'm sure like the brides I'm looking at Instagram, like you seem so happy and just like
Yeah.
look great with their dresses. And
Thank you.
that's also great that you're also giving back to the community, like with the scholarship.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I was as successful as you are, I would definitely give back to the community. But is that scholarship for any student that is specifically wanting to go to the bridal business, or what is that scholarship?
Yeah. So I started the scholarship because, so keep in mind, I graduated from high school in 2005. So this is like pre Devil Wears Prada, pre the city or the hills or Laguna Beach. It was like right when all that was kind of happening. So careers in fashion, unless you had someone that you knew that worked in fashion or you lived in probably like a big city, you didn't know that careers in fashion were like a thing, or at least I didn't. And so I remember when I was getting ready to go to college and applying to schools, all of my friends were like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to do this. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Like I don't have a passion to be a doctor or to be a graphic designer. And I just kept saying to my parents, like, I like getting dressed every day. And so it kind of clicked at that point that we were like, okay, fashion school, like, let's do that. And my parents insisted on going to, into business as well, just to kind of have it as like a dual degree, which I'm so thankful they did. So that the scholarship kind of helps people, encourages them to go into fashion. So anyone can apply from Kingston High School that's a graduating senior, and they just have to be going into some sort of degree in fashion. So it can be merchandising, design, marketing, advertising, styling. I mean, anything under the sun that kind of falls under the fashion umbrella.
Okay, that's great. I'm really, that's awesome that you're giving back to your community. And I could imagine, also like, it's really hard to get in. I like what you mentioned, like you have to kind of know someone to be, get into the, the type of like, career. Because like I feel like, just going to college to become or a fashion, I don't even know if that's a thing, like a fashion
Right.
designer, but it seems like to once you graduate, it seems like to be able to kind of like get out there, I feel like it's really, you kind of have to know someone to be able to, I guess, to succeed. But I
Yeah.
could imagine how hard that could that be. But that's amazing that you open up a scholarship that kind of like encourages someone that wanted to look into that career. So
Thank you.
yeah, so yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you're doing such a great job. It seems like you're not done yet, and you do
No, not at
amazing
all.
job. So I mean, with the COVID, I know that was I ask this to to creators all the time, like how did like that affect you at all, or how did that?
Yeah.
Tell me a
So
little background
COVID,
about like how that
yeah.
went through.
COVID was weird, right? So for everyone across the board. So we were, there's so many avenues where it was weird. So first, we were closed from March till June, which was crazy. And it was just like doors were locked. I was coming in to accept UPS packages, but also on that end of it, shipping from Asia had just stopped. So like a lot of the product that a lot of the gowns are manufactured overseas. So like everything from overseas basically stopped coming in that time period. So it was really like before we closed our doors, when we knew we were going to have to close and we were going to have the shutdown, and when things kind of started to get a little gray, I basically got all the dresses out the door for brides that were getting married in 2020, and we're like, here's your gown, like I want you to have this in case we aren't going to be open till July, in case I can't be in public until, the foreseeable future. Like, here's your dress. Here's my seamstress who's doing like certain things that she can do. But like, I don't know if you can have a wedding. Like, let's just hope for the best. Sadly, I mean, 90% of the weddings last year were postponed or canceled, or, they had them, but totally different than how the bride envisioned them. Which, I think everyone kind of found their best and did whatever their best choice was, whether it was postpone or cancel or, do it in their backyard. So when I reopened in June, I was like, well, what does this mean? Like, we're not going to have weddings for an entire, like, how long? Like, no one really knew. And I was really super anxious, and like, what does it mean for the business and the shop? And I had just celebrated, I was coming on to 5 years, and I'm like, oh no. So it was odd, but then people were like, micro weddings, elopements, small scale weddings. And it was like, okay, like, we're doing this. And sadly, venues didn't have weddings, but like backyards did. And so the bride still wanted to wear the beautiful gown. So it really, like, as soon as we reopened, I mean, it felt different and it looked different, like the experience of shopping, because at that point everyone was scared and like, how close can we be, and touching, and, because it's a really like personal experience of how close you are when you're helping someone get in and out of a dress. I was just like, all right, let's go. And so it was busy from the day we reopened, and I'm so thankful about that. But it was interesting because, lead time on a wedding gown takes at an absolute minimum, 10 weeks to get you a wedding dress. Most times like 4 to 7 months. So these brides were coming in like, oh, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. And I'd be like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we had to really get creative there for sure. Pull a lot of strings. My designers were absolutely amazing and doing everything they could to get dresses here. And my seamstress, would turn dresses around in 2 weeks, which is kind of unheard of. And we made it work and we made it happen.
That's great that you were able to serve your clients still during the COVID season. I know you had a few months that you weren't, open, but I'm glad that you were still able to, serve them. And like, my question is that, like, with the COVID, I mean, with the postponements from last year, or the couples that never got married, the brides never got married last year, do you see more of a, what do you call that, a supply for like gowns this year? Like, is it more different now when getting like the gowns? Because like, I could imagine more brides are getting married this year. Like, are you having a hard time ordering them?
No, I mean, luckily, I think so. Most of the designers that I work with are like very big brands, international brands. So they kind of had the foresight to be like, we know that 2021 is going to be insane. So like, their best styles, they kind of had ready to go in manufacturing and like had them ready to move. So this year, actually, the winter was a little odd because it was like things were surging again and people were kind of scared around the holidays to go out into the world. So it was an odd time because usually that's a very, very busy time for us. And collectively, like the other bridal shops that I've talked to, they've kind of said the same thing, that it was different this year. But like January 1, and as soon as the vaccine started rolling out, I mean, people were booking appointments like crazy, buying dresses like crazy, because they're like, we're doing it. We're getting married in 2021. Like, it's happening. And so then I'd be like to the designer, okay, like we need all of these gowns like very fast, and every, you know, order has been able to process and go through, which I'm really, really thankful for.
Oh, that's great that you have designers that are more flexible. I mean, not flexible, but like reliable, right? I feel
Yes,
like that's
absolutely.
a great thing. And you mentioned like turn around 2 weeks for a dress, which is unheard for, and it
Yeah.
seems like it had all worked out. So if a bride is watching this podcast, I mean, I know maybe not, but like I feel like it's possibly, but like if
Yeah.
they were gonna go to your to your store, I guess. I mean, you kind of answered the question, but like, and you're also really personable, and you're great. And I feel like you know, couples should realize to have other options if they can't really find a dress that they want into this bigger box of a
Yeah.
bridal shop. They should open their options to go. Why try out the
Absolutely.
smaller business in your
Absolutely.
locally. And like I feel like, what would you tell those couples? I mean, just to kind of like what is like, why would they want to go to you? Like, what would you tell them? Like, doesn't have to be like a long
Yeah,
answer, but like
absolutely. I mean, I think that no matter where a bride gets her dress, and as long as she feels good and like her best self on her wedding day, like that's all you can ask for, like done. Um, I would love for people to come here because I think there is something really special and really unique about personalized customer service and kind of the experience and the relationship that we build as a team to help you achieve, you know, your look and what you want on your wedding day in terms of style. So while I'm sure there are great big stores that can offer excellent customer service, I do think there is something really special about the relationship that you build with a small business when you support them.
right. And I feel like it's important because if you were handling your customers or your couples,
Yeah.
you have that relationship with your couples, and that best serves them to what they're looking for, because you kind of get more close to them. Like, you're just not an ordinary, like, just like a number. They're like
Right.
your friend, like you mentioned.
Totally.
And I
Yeah.
feel like that would be a great thing, because you kind of see what they're looking for in a
Yeah.
way for like what dresses. But I feel like that's one thing that couples should, like brides should, consider going to a smaller shop, because I feel like it could be
Absolutely.
the best thing ever. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something really special about working with the owner or working with the person that pours their heart and soul into it, because it's not just you know, another sale. I mean, that sale helps keep our lights on. You know, that sale helps me get more dresses to help more people feel good about themselves. So many of the brides that I work with, I'm so lucky, like have become like personal friends, and it's just really nice to be able to like have that type of connection with a client. And I think it's just, you know, again, like the special like small business feel.
yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, I don't want to take more time away from you, but like, I feel like that's really important to, again, like, have that, you go meet with Emily and just like see what she has to offer, because
Yeah.
you seem like you're really passionate about, what you're doing, especially with like, that type of niche. And I feel like for a bride that's kind of looking for a dress but they still haven't find out, and you've been to
Yeah.
different store, they should consider go to this local business that like Emily, because she's really passionate about it. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm really, for me, as a wedding videographer, I'm really passionate about video. It's just, there's just something different about having someone that's from a bigger company creating your wedding films compared to
Yeah.
someone, I can't have someone edit my films, or like have them shoot my weddings, because
Right.
it's not going to be the same. You won't
Yeah.
have the same experience, and you won't have the same product. I
Right.
feel like what you are, what makes your brand. So I feel like that's great
Totally.
about your brand. So that's awesome. I'm glad that I was able to talk with you. I feel like I don't have a lot of knowledge about the the bridal industry, but
You
like
did
I'm
great.
glad that
You
I was
did
able
great.
to talk with you.
Yeah, totally. No, you asked all the good questions for sure. And I will say, so I think you kind of mentioned this, and I was just thinking back to one of your questions about like getting started and how you do that. And I just think it's really important as someone that's done it, to always be able to be like an open door for anyone that's curious about doing it. I had an amazing mentor at a bridal shop in Albany who was just so transparent on things that I couldn't find on the internet, like all of this stuff. And like, technically she's a competitor, and of mine now. But she was just so helpful in the process. And I think there's something really important about supporting each other, whether you're competitors or not. Like, we're all in it together. We're all small business owners. So if you need help or you need assistance, like I would love to help anyone that, has a question about the industry that maybe they're looking for an answer to that they can't find on the internet. It's something that I think is really important that we all kind of do too.
Yeah, definitely. That's great because, I started out being curious as well. You have to have
Right.
that curiosity if you really want it as well. Like I ended up, reaching out to a Rhode Island videographer, and he's
Yeah.
really successful out there. But at the same time, I was really curious, and I messaged him
Yeah.
all the time, and he was able to help me, grow my business. And he was really transparent. And I feel like it's hard to find people that has
Yes.
an open arms, and I feel like it worked out great because he's awesome, and you're awesome as well that you're opening your arms to other creatives that
Yeah,
want to start out into the bridal industry. So that's
totally.
awesome for you to do that.
Always happy to.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. It
Yeah.
was great meeting you, and I will definitely keep in touch. And thank you again for your time. So pretty much again, the podcast, I'm just gonna post it on YouTube if you're fine with it. It's all recorded.
Okay,
So
cool.
thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Emily. And
much. So nice to meet
yeah,
you.
well, nice to meet you as well. And we'll definitely keep in touch. And I can't wait to see, see more work of your Instagram and just see where your journey takes you. So I'm really
Thank you
excited for
so
you.
much. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Have a good one,
Thank
Emily. Thank you
you.
again. All right.
Bye.
Bye.